It's conference championship weekend in the college football world. Two of these games, major playoff implications. You're looking at the Big 12 and the Pac 12, essentially playing games for the college football playoff. If USC can avenge their loss earlier in the season against Utah, they're in. And TCU, despite being undefeated, the College Football Playoff Committee does not respect them and needs the Horned Frogs to win, and then they'll finally put them in once and for all. TCU is going to have to take down Kansas State. And then there's a couple other conference championships that may not have postseason implications in the way that the Big 12 and Pac 12 do, but man, are they fantastic games. You have the ACC, you have the SEC, and you have the Big 10, all of which are some fantastic games, some bigger spreads, but that gives you the opportunity to make some money. So let's start things off today breaking down the Pac-12 championship. USC's taking on Utah. These two teams faced off earlier in the season, and Utah came away with a narrow 1-point victory. USC comes into this one. They need to win to make it into the college football playoff, and Caleb Williams has to have a solid game, or he could honestly have an all right game, and he's winning the Heisman. So a lot on the line for the Trojans, where the Utes of Utah, not as much on the line. They're kind of playing a little bit freer. USC minus 2.5 in this game, and they're looking to avenge that early season loss, and I think they have all of the capabilities to do so. This is a USC defense that, yeah, they allow a lot of yards, like a lot of yards, 400 plus per game. They allow 6.2 yards per play. When you look at those just baseline numbers, you don't think, wow, this is an elite level defense. But they have a plus 22 turnover differential. And when these two teams faced off earlier in the season, USC was able to turn over Utah. That didn't result in a win, but that is key to the way USC plays defense. They're going to let you move the ball up and down on them, and that's how they allow 400 plus yards a game. But they are going to turn you over. They are going to get the ball back for their offense, which is an extremely potent offense, 43 points per game, and they've done it all through Caleb Williams. They pass at an insane clip, 9.2 yards per attempt. They average over 320 yards per game. The Trojans' offense is one of the best, if not the best offense in the nation. Their defense, like we said, though, if we're looking at EPA, 103rd in the nation in EPA. You flip this game on its head. Utah, number 11 in the nation, plus 2.5 in this game. They come in with the 31st best defense in the nation according to EPA and the 19th best offense. This is a really good Utah school. Utah is 9-3 on the season, a couple losses here and there. And if they were able to kind of flip that on its head, this is a team that could be in USC's spot, playing for a shot at the college football playoff. And Utah's defense has finally figured something out over these last 3 weeks, absolutely stopping the run. They haven't allowed over 100 yards in a game the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks, they've allowed 22 yards, 67 yards, and 62 yards on the ground. And good news for Utah fans, Kyle Whittingham is 25-5 against the spread after allowing less than 125 rush yards per game in those 3 weeks. And that is one of our best rated betting angles for this game. I believe it's rated a 5. And I mean, it just goes to show that this Utah rush defense has figured it out. Utah, if they can keep that kind of consistency going in terms of dominating the trenches, not only are they going to slow down a USC rushing attack that averages 5.5 yards per carry, they're going to get into Caleb Williams' face and kind of make him have a little bit of happy feet, kind of collapse the pocket in on Caleb Williams and make him feel like he's under pressure, under duress for a majority of this game. When you see that a team is dominating the trenches the way Utah has been these last few weeks, it means so much more than slowing down the rush. It means they are getting to the quarterback. It means they're moving the pocket. It means they're getting hits on the quarterback. And sometimes those things don't show up in the box score, but man, are they so much more important than what the box score can tell you. Then you look at USC. I mean, there is everything on the line for USC in this game. I mean, they have to win to get in the college football playoff. Caleb Williams has to have a solid game in order to win the Heisman. He is extreme minus money right now, but you got to think if he comes out and throws 3 interceptions and the USC Trojans lose, He's not doing that. And then over on the other side, Max Duggan, we'll talk about the Big 12 championship in a bit. If Max Duggan goes out and throws 4 touchdowns, no interceptions for 500 yards, Max Duggan might be the Heisman winner, which will be really interesting to see how that's all going to shake out. If you look at drf.com, our power line likes Utah not only to cover, it likes Utah -8. Game Simulator number 1 likes Utah to win by 4. Game Simulator number 2 likes USC to win by 4. The line is 2.5, and the public is all over USC. 70% of the public on the Trojans, 84% of the public is on the Trojans to win this game and cover the 2.5-point spread. I think USC wins, but my best bet for this game is Utah plus 2.5. I think this is an extremely close, gutted out game. We saw what happened the first time these two teams met earlier in the season. It was a 43-42 win for Utah. And I think Utah knows how to beat USC. And they've shown over these last 3 weeks that they are dominating the trenches, and I love that. They're a more well-rounded team, 19th best offense in the nation according to expected points added, 31st best defense. USC, if they don't get turnovers, Utah's going to move the ball really well on them. USC did force a turnover when these two teams met earlier in the season, but I think Utah's going to figure it out, and they're going to move the ball well and take care of the rock. That's why I'm going Utah plus 2.5 in this game. I think this is going to be an instant classic. Tune in tonight, 8 p.m. It's going to be, I'm really excited for this game being played in Nevada, a nice neutral field showdown. USC, I'm putting them on upset alert. Money's on Utah. Sharps are on Utah. Public's on USC. Let's see which side comes away with the win. The Big 12 championship is going to be a fantastic matchup between Kansas State and TCU. TCU is -2.5 in this game, and they need to win in order to get into the college football playoff. Yeah, I know. The Horned Frogs are 12-0, and the college football playoff committee still does not respect them. If TCU loses this game, I don't see the college football playoff committee putting them in. I see them putting in Ohio State, who has a 1 loss against number 2 Michigan. And Ohio State's not playing this weekend, so they can't hurt their resume. And for some odd reason, the College Football Playoff Committee doesn't understand that you shouldn't punish teams for playing in the conference championship, but I'll get off my high horse. It's whatever. Kansas State comes into this one plus 2.5, 9-3 on the season, and Kansas State, the Wildcats, have looked solid throughout this season. They've won 3 games in a row. They've won 4 of their last 5. Their only loss was a 34-27 loss against Texas, and that was at home. So a tough loss in that one, whereas TCU comes into this one winning every single game of the season, and they're coming off of a massive 62-14 win against Iowa State. And you might be saying, well, yeah, Iowa State's not that good this season. I'm here to tell you, I've watched my fair share of Cyclones football this season. Iowa State's not terrible. Iowa State's not good, but hanging 62 points on a conference foe and an Iowa State team that isn't terrible is a pretty damn good achievement. TCU knows what's at stake. TCU, and I think that's a big reason they hung 62 on the Cyclones last week. TCU knows they have to put some stamps, some signature wins on their resume. TCU's offense has been elite this season, 12th in EPA per game, and they do it through the air, 15th in pass EPA, which is slightly better than their rush EPA. Their defense, on the other hand, I mean, it's good for the Big 12, but it's overall on the entire nation. They're 41st in EPA per game. But the thing is, Kansas State is the perfect matchup to win against TCU. TCU doesn't defend the pass extremely well, and Kansas State's strength is their passing attack. They're 23rd in passing EPA, which is their best in terms of passing or rushing. And pair all of that with the fact that we talked about how TCU is coming off of a massive win. Sonny Dykes is 1-10 against the spread after beating an opponent, a conference opponent, by 21 points or more. But the thing is, there's just so much at stake for the Horned Frogs, and I think Sonny Dykes is going to get his team up, get them ready, and I think they win this game by a touchdown or more. Max Duggan knows what's at stake. He'll know what he's playing for tomorrow at noon Eastern when this game kicks off. He'll know what Caleb Williams did on Friday night. If USC loses that game and Caleb Williams doesn't have a great game, Max Duggan knows the Heisman is there for his taking. If he comes out and he throws 4 touchdowns and 400 yards or 4 touchdowns and 300 yards and had a quote-unquote Heisman moment, he can take that trophy away from Caleb Williams. Max Duggan currently is plus 2,500 to win the Heisman, and I think that is some fantastic value considering that there is a clear route for him to win this game, and I think TCU is the better team. TCU minus 2.5. The Horned Frogs know what's at stake. They've already beaten Kansas State once this season, and I know it's really tough to beat a team twice, but they didn't beat this team by 1 point like Utah did against USC. They beat this team by 10 in October. It's been a long time. Both of these teams are really different, and I'd argue TCU has gotten better. Outside of that Baylor at 1 point loss at Baylor, they've really done what they needed to do. A 17-10 gutted out win against Texas proved they can do that. A 29-28 win at Baylor. Both of those games against Texas and Baylor on the road prove that they know what to do in that game. And then against Iowa State, they just absolutely blow them out of the water. They put a signature stamp on their resume, and they're looking to do the same against Kansas State. They have something to prove. They want to go out, and they want to show the College Football Playoff Committee, look, you made a mistake by not putting us in the top 4 when we were undefeated 4 weeks ago. You made a mistake by not putting us in the top 4 when we were undefeated 3 weeks ago. You made a mistake when you didn't put us in the top 4 when we were undefeated 2 weeks ago. TCU just now got into the top 4 this last Tuesday with the College Football Playoff rankings. Look, with everything happening around this, the edge from Game Simulator number 1 is on Kansas State to win. Is on TCU to win this game by 9 points and cover the spread with ease. Estimate number 2 likes TCU to win by 5 and cover the spread. Our power line likes this one to be more like a pick'em, but I don't think, and we'll talk about this with our other game previews, the computer doesn't understand the emotional part of this game, which is a massive part of conference championships, and it'll be a massive part in bowl games too. But TCU is going to be up for this game. Kansas State will be too. Kansas State wants to pull this upset. But I just think TCU is a damn good team. I mean, they're going to get destroyed by whoever they play in the first round, whether it's Georgia, whether it's Michigan. But TCU deserves a spot in the college football playoff. They've done everything they need to do, and they're going to put a signature stamp with a Big 12 championship win against Kansas State and cover the spread with ease here on Saturday at noon Eastern. UNC? What happened? You've lost your last 2 against Georgia Tech and NC State, both of which you were massive favorites in, and you couldn't pull it off. And now you're sitting at 9-3 on the season after sitting at 9-1 and looking like you were going to be a dark horse contender for the college football playoff or a dark horse to take down Clemson. Now we're running into the ACC championship. Clemson's coming off of a loss against South Carolina. Vegas doesn't care. Vegas still thinks Clemson is a 7.5 point favorite. And look, I got to agree with them. Clemson is the much better team in this game. UNC, Drake May, what an offense you guys have. I mean, absolutely amazing. Up until these last 2 weeks where you've shown an inability to score against Georgia Tech, and then you showed an inability to really hang it up big time on NC State, and then you're playing a Clemson team, which is one of the best defenses in the nation. I know DJ Uiagalelei, he didn't have a good game last game, and that's putting it lightly. He didn't even throw for 100 yards, and yet his team still only lost by 1, and it snapped the 40-game home winning streak that the Clemson Tigers had in Death Valley. I get all of that. But if there's ever a get-right spot for a quarterback that is struggling with confidence, it's against one of the worst defenses in the nation in USC, at least one of the worst defenses in all of Power 5. UNC's defense is mid-100s in EPA. They're not good. The only reason they're 9-3 this season is because of the exceptional play of this offense and Drake May. But Clemson, the defense is going to put the absolute clamps down on the Tar Heels in this one. I don't know if the Tar Heels will be able to move the football all that efficiently. I mean, North Carolina, they could only put up 17 against Georgia Tech, and they only put up 27 against NC State. You couldn't cover as 21-point favorites, let alone win. And then you didn't cover as 6.5-point favorites, let alone win against the NC State Wolfpack. Clemson coming into this one on the road this season, 4-1 straight up. They're 3-2 against the spread. You come on down to UNC here on drf.com/sports. Over the last 3 games, they're 1-2 straight up, 1-2 against the spread. And when they play games on turf, which is what Bank of America Field is here in Charlotte, where the ACC championship is being played, they're just 4-4 against the spread, and they're 4-4 in conference games, and they're 5-6 against the spread overall. I don't like the Tar Heels in this game at all. If there's ever a get-right game, I said it, this is the get-right game for DJ Uiagalelei. It seems like Dabo Swinney is 100% in on him to play this ACC championship game. We'll see what happens when the transfer portal comes up and this season is over for Clemson. But as of right now, I think Clemson covers this game. They win this game by 14 or more, and I'm riding 100% with what our power line and game simulators are saying. Game simulator number 1 likes them to absolutely demolish them. Game simulator number 2 likes it to be a little bit more close, but I just don't see a way that UNC, it's going to take so much for UNC to win this game. It's going to take a good defensive performance, which they're incapable of, and a good offense performance, which they haven't done for the last 2.5 weeks or so. 2.5 weeks, because against Wake Forest in the second half, they couldn't really score all that efficiently. They couldn't get these 4th downs deep in the red zone. So I'm going Clemson, -7.5. I think they win this game by 10 plus, double digits easily for the Tigers, who get it kind of in a get-right game and get set up for a solid bowl game to finish out their season. The SEC championship game had the makings to be a really, 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 really good game, but now we're sitting here, Georgia is a 17.5 point favorite, and LSU is playing to play in the Sugar Bowl or the Citrus Bowl. Really exciting stuff. Not at all. Look, Georgia is one of the best teams. Georgia is the best team in the country. Full stop. Top 6 defense, top 9 offense. This is a better Georgia team than they were last year. This is a better Georgia team than they were last year. But LSU covers. LSU plus 17.5 is too many points for a Tigers team that is honestly playing for pride. I mean, they were sitting there 9-2 going up against Texas A&M. You have to win the game to keep your college football playoff hopes alive, because then if they won this game, there's a very real possibility that the College Football Playoff Committee puts the SEC champion in over the Pac-12 champion, the Big 12 champion. And honestly, there's a solid chance that not both of them are winning. So if LSU was able to win last week, win this week, they would have gotten in. But they lost. So we're not living in that reality. We're living in a reality where this game means absolutely nothing. And that's why LSU plus 17.5 is the play. LSU can't play for a national championship. LSU doesn't care. I mean, they probably care a little bit, but for sake of drama, they don't care about hoisting the Sugar Bowl trophy. They don't care about hoisting the Citrus Bowl trophy. At this point, they want to be SEC champions. That's what this season's about. Georgia, on the other hand, they have their eyes set on the national championship. Yeah, they haven't won the SEC championship in a few years, but it doesn't matter because they've been hoisting they hoisted the national champion trophy last season. So Georgia would like to win this game, and they're going to win this game, but LSU's going to put up a good fight. There's no way that LSU loses by 3 possessions or more. They can lose by 17 and still cover. So you expect Georgia to win by 18, 19, 20, 21, 3 touchdowns. I don't think 3 touchdowns. Garbage time is a real time. I think LSU will be punching in this game. Jaden Daniels is expected to go. He's listed as probable on the injury report. He's expected to play. And pair all of that with the fact Brian Kelly is 37-17 against teams with a 75% win percentage or better. And LSU is 11-3 against the spread after failing to cover since the start of 2020. Georgia's locked into number 1. They are the number 1 team in the country. They will be, unless Michigan puts up a 70 burger against Purdue and Georgia loses this game. Georgia's essentially locked in despite the outcome of this one. And 70% of the public is on LSU, and I got to ride with 70% of the public. they're playing for pride. They're playing for the SEC championship. This game means more to LSU, and because of that, I think the Tigers can keep this one close. Not sure if they can win this game. That's why I'm not at all touching LSU plus 800, but I'm touching LSU plus 17.5. They can keep this close. They're not losing by 17 points or more. They're losing by 10, 11, 12. It's going to be a good game. Is it a foregone conclusion that if Michigan loses this game to an unranked Purdue team, they're in the playoff? I mean, is there a possibility that Purdue wins this game by 14 points and somehow Michigan... I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that Michigan's in the college football playoff. It doesn't matter what happens in this game. Purdue, on the other hand, they're plus 16.5. Is there any way that they cover this game? I mean, maybe. Purdue does have the most wins against number 1 or number 2 teams in the AP Top 25. They've done it 9 times since the start of the AP poll back in, I believe, in 1936. That's 4 more than any other team has against number 1 and number 2 teams as an unranked team. Purdue, the Boilermakers, there's a reason they have the nickname the Spoiler Makers. Does it continue? No. Michigan minus 16.5 is the play. Purdue has a slightly above average defense, but a very average, if not below average, offense. Michigan's going to be without Blake Corum, but that doesn't matter because Michigan's defense and we saw what they did with Cornelius Jones and Donovan Edwards. This is a Michigan offense that I think will make easy work of the Boilermakers defense, and I think this is a Boilermakers offense that won't be able to move the ball against a Michigan team that allows just 13 points per game. I mean, Michigan, we can talk all about their cupcake soft schedule at times and playing in the Big Ten. They're not necessarily playing against amazing teams, but in close games, their defense came up big. And then in big scoring games, their offense came up big. And the Big Ten championship, they're going to come up big. I mean, this is a Michigan team that should be favored by 19 points or more. This is a Michigan team that our game simulators are in agreement with. They are going to destroy Purdue. Purdue, Aiden O'Connell, good job. You had a good season. You guys are 8-4. You're plus 16.5 in the Big Ten championship game. That's about all you guys have to hang your hat on this season. I mean, the Big Ten West was absolutely abysmal. You could have put in any of those teams and the spread would have been, it doesn't matter. Michigan is going to mop the floor with whoever the Big Ten West put into this. Purdue isn't much better than Iowa. They're not much better than Illinois. Like all of these other teams that had a potential to make it, Purdue might be the best of them, but they're not much better. Michigan minus 16.5. They have had the emergence of Donovan Edwards. It doesn't really matter. In this game, it doesn't matter. It's going to matter in the college football playoff. But in this game right now, it doesn't matter whether it's Donovan Edwards or whether it's Blake Corum in the backfield. Either one of them are going to run all over this Purdue defense. Cornelius Jones, J.J. McCarthy had shown an ability to have a fantastic connection against Ohio State. Look, I don't have full faith in Purdue at all. A very average team. Can the Spoiler Makers do it? Maybe, but this is a Michigan team that doesn't really make many mistakes. They are very well coached. They are extremely buttoned up. I think they're going to roll all over Purdue and win this game by 17 points. I think it's weird to me that LSU is minus 17.5 against Georgia, yet Purdue is minus 16.5 to Michigan. Michigan should be like a 21-point favorite in this game. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I have too much faith in Michigan. Maybe I'm overreacting to last week's massive win against Ohio State. Maybe I am. Doesn't matter. Michigan's winning this game. Michigan's covering this game. Give me the Wolverines minus 16.5 as they walk their way into the college football playoff as the 2 seed, and they play whoever the 3 seed is going to be, whether that's USC, whether that's TCU. They're going to win that game, and they're going to get destroyed by Georgia in the college football national championship. So Michigan minus 16.5. Stamp it. Boom. Bada bing. Bada boom. Winner of the day.